I just purchased an M1 Macbook Air a couple of weeks ago, despite saying quite often in previous videos that I do not particularly like Mac OS as a desktop environment. Oh my gosh, I can hear people's eyes rolling out there. Well, now relax, it's my money after all. Listen, I still have my AMD Ryzen-powered Linux laptop, seen here with its adopted little brother, the MacBook Air. I'm pretty sure the Linux one will continue to be my main computer for most things, but I have already loaded and tested the video production tools I use on the MacBook, such as Kdenlive and Audacity, and they work fine. Let me back up just a little here to give a sense of why I do stuff like this for those of you who are rolling your eyes out there. I'm close to retirement and I don't have a lot of money to fling around, but I do like to scratch that technology itch from time to time. In doing so, I've established a bit of a pattern of typically buying something used or refurbished from like eBay or Back Market or wherever. If it turns out to be something that I ended up not liking or being bored with after a while, I would generally just sell it on. More often than not, I would lose some money on this, but I came to rationalize it as effectively renting the thing for a week or a month or a year. A little odd, I know, but that's how my mind works. A good example of this was that I had purchased a used M1 Mac Mini late in 2023. I made a video about it at the time, in fact. I ended up selling it again after less than 3 months, after I realized I was not really using it in the way I thought I would. There was nothing wrong with it. It was actually quite a nice device. It just got to the point where I realized someone else out there could probably make better use of it than me. So why, you quite reasonably ask, did you just buy essentially the same thing, but in laptop form? Well, after having used a MacBook Air on and off at work, it slowly dawned on me that the form factor and the screen were actually not, quote-unquote, too small for me, which was a concern. I typically use 15-inch laptops, and the Air is 13 inches, but with a higher resolution display. Another thing is I do already like the dock type of app launcher from using the GNOME and Budgie desktops on Linux. Also, even a used MacBook Air with the M1 chipset gets much better battery life than my Ryzen-powered x86 laptop, and I find that becoming more valuable to me than I previously realized. I want to try and stay relevant as I make these videos, and having ready access to Windows, Linux, and Apple devices just makes sense in that regard. So I was able to get a used 2020 MacBook Air with 16 gigs of RAM, and that was something I'd been curious about. It always seemed that 8 gigs of RAM on the Apple-based models is very skimpy these days, despite Apple's double talk on the subject. Lastly, it cost me slightly over $500, including tax and shipping and a charger. You might be surprised how many MacBooks on eBay are offered without a charger. I figured I may as well give Apple another chance while I still have a little disposable income. I'd also sold a couple of other items I was not currently using, so my net cost on the MacBook was maybe $200 in the end. So not too bad. So am I happy with it 2 weeks in? Yeah, it's small and cute, and the 16 gigs definitely allows it to run things like local LLMs faster than both my Ryzen laptop and the Mac Mini I mentioned earlier, which only had 8 gigs of RAM but the same M1 chipset. The Mac OS seems a bit less tiresome when used on a laptop for some reason. The display is very nice, as is the keyboard, although as a hunt and peck typist that was not a huge concern. The overall build quality is also really nice, and the speakers are even pretty good for a smaller laptop. While I doubt it will become my main device, I really do like Linux. It's a nice change of pace and will hopefully keep me learning, which has also become more important to me as I realize my old brain gets fuzzy if not exercised regularly. Well, I guess I'm off on another Apple side quest. We'll catch you next time. Thanks for watching. Take care.